Hi, welcome to Ask the Doulas. I am Alyssa, co-owner and postpartum doula at Gold Coast Doulas. Today's show is sponsored by Cindy Suds, and we have Cindy here again with us today. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We are talking about trusting your gut as a mom.
Yes.
And you recently had an incident with your son that I wanted to ask you about and to share with everybody where you found out he had Lyme disease.
Yes.
And so tell me how that started and how you as a mom figured that out before the medical professionals did. I mean, you are a medical professional.
I am, yes. I'm a physician assistant by trade, but let's take that off the table.
Okay.
Completely take off the fact that I'm a PA. So my son, I've got 3 kids. This is my middle son. He is going to be 16 this month. I've got a boy, girl. No, oh my gosh. I've got girl, boy. Holy cow. Sorry, children. My 2 boys are very active outdoors. They hunt. They're outside all the time. They camp. So, that's just kind of our lifestyle. We live on acreage, so they're constantly outside. Mm-hmm. So my almost 16-year-old this past summer was camping with some friends, and when he came back, he was like, "Oh yeah, I had a tick on me." I'm like, "Seriously? That's great."
At least he told you.
Right. So that was April or May, I want to say, and didn't think anything of it. Nothing happened. So then in June, he goes on another camping trip, and another situation where he's with other families, other kids, has a blast, gone for the weekend. He comes home, and about 3 days later, just very, very lethargic, very achy, full body aches, high fever. And so his fever was about 104. It had gotten up to 104.5. Really, really high. And just, my joints ache, I'm so exhausted, sleeping all the time. And this is an almost 16-year-old, very out of character, obviously. Yeah. So I'm starting to think, well, gosh, what has changed? What's different? He just got back from camping. I wonder if there's anything, what if he got bit by something? Mosquito, tick, So I did like a brief skin survey, just meaning that I'm kind of looking at his skin. Is there anything out of place, anything weird? And on his back, there was a little teeny tiny bite mark that I'm like, for whatever reason, it's just that mom instinct where I'm like, I need to watch that. So I took a picture of it. And then throughout the next 24 hours, really, I was just kind of monitoring that little spot, and it was growing, and it was growing, and I'm like, holy cow, this looks like the bullseye mark that they are describing when somebody has Lyme disease.
So the tick wasn't in there.
No.
It was just his bite mark that you could see.
Right, but he had been camping for like 3 days, and so, I guess at some point during that time he had gotten bit by a tick at that spot, but no physical tick there afterwards. But granted, 2 months prior, he was like, "Oh yeah, I had a tick on me." And so I think maybe I was on a little higher alert because of that. But honestly, it was just this gut instinct as a mom that I knew something was wrong. I knew it wasn't just minor. I knew it was something bigger. And I just knew that I had to, kind of do the skin survey and look. It was just this feeling that I know there's something going on, and then following up with that. So I watched the spot on his back slowly grow, and I was taking pictures to document it just so that I knew that, yes, it is growing, and just kind of watching him. So his fever was still really high, 104. It would come down to about 101, 102 with Tylenol or Advil. But he's, this is like a kid who's the size of an adult. He's like at almost 16, and a boy, you're big. But I'm like, this, he still's my kid. He still's my baby. And no matter how old they are, I think a mom is still so in tune with their child, whether they're a newborn or almost 16.
Yeah.
So I brought him into an urgent care facility, and was very, very frustrated because the provider that saw him said, I don't think it's Lyme disease, because I came in saying, I think my son has Lyme disease. He was exposed because he was camping. He's had a fever. He's had the body aches. I basically laid it out. Here's Lyme disease on the platter.
Mm-hmm.
And she left the room, came back in and said, well, I just looked it up, and it doesn't sound like he has Lyme disease. I think it's a virus.
I just looked it up?
I just looked it up.
So basically, I just Googled Lyme disease for a minute.
I basically just Googled Lyme. And I was like, what? And she's like, no, and also that rash on his back, it's supposed to be greater than 10 centimeters if it's truly Lyme disease. So you don't have it. So he's just got a virus. Go home. And I was just kind of dumbfounded. Like, are you kidding? So I went home, and my gut is churning. I'm like, there is no way. So instead of going back to an urgent care, I went to the emergency room, and the first provider that I saw there too, I think it's a virus. I just don't think that it's Lyme disease, and I think you should send him home and give him fluids. And I'm like, this is day 6 of him having a fever this high. No, there is something going on. He has Lyme disease. I need to get this treated. So thankfully in the emergency room, before you can go, they have the attending physician come in and see you. So the person that had come in first was a resident physician. So then the attending came in. She walks in the door, and I actually knew her from when I worked in a local emergency room 20 years ago before I went to PA school. So I knew her. I knew that she was a smart cookie, and she had all those years of experience.
Right.
So she walked in, looks at my son, looks at me, and says, he has Lyme disease, you're treating him right now. And I burst into tears and I think she thought that I was crying because I'm like, just given this sentence, he has Lyme disease. I'm like, finally!
Yeah.
Somebody understands that, what I am presenting to you, this is the truth.
Right.
And discounting the fact that I'm a PA, I just feel like we as moms, you have to trust your gut, because we were given this maternal instinct for a reason, and we were given this protection for our kids that is above and beyond anything that medicine can teach you or that anyone can teach you. It is this primal instinct that if you feel like something is going on with your child, whether it's a food allergy, or I think my child maybe falls somewhere on the autism spectrum, or whatever, you as a mom, you need to pursue that, and you need to be the biggest advocate for your child, because that is it's this amazing gift that we're given, and you have to pursue that because it's real, and it is 100% just... It is so real. I just can't even describe it.
It's almost like tangible, but not.
Right.
Like we know
it's right.
how this should feel when something feels wrong. Our kid is not acting right. You just know.
Yeah. And even when I was practicing as a PA, if a mom would come in and say, there is something wrong, you throw out anything that you think the medical books are saying could be right or could be wrong, because that mom knows her child. And I think the older that I've gotten so much more pro being an advocate for your child, because I feel like nowadays there are so many people who think they know what is best, but they don't. I mean, you as a mom, you know what is best for your child, hands down. And so I really want to encourage moms that if they have a feeling, you have to believe in that feeling, because that is a very powerful, it's such a powerful, I can't even describe what it would be.
Yeah, it's almost like, you were connected for so long that doesn't, just because there's no umbilical cord there,
right.
There's still this connection that's kind of indescribable.
It is, yeah. And whether they're a newborn or 16, as a mom, you just know. And so I feel like that part of us that is prone to doubt, I would just encourage moms, don't doubt, because that is something that you are given. It's a gift to know if there is something that you should pursue further for your child, and to really trust it, because I feel like there are so many times where maybe, especially as a young mom or a new mom, you might think, well, so-and-so says that it should look this way or should go that way. But if you're feeling differently, I would really encourage that young mom to kind of internalize what she's feeling and put it out there because she knows. I mean, you're given this feeling for a reason, and it's complete protection for your child.
Yeah. And I think, like with you, that doesn't mean that you distrust all medical care providers, but you need to find one that you do trust. And if that means going to 3,
Right.
Then you go to 3 or 5, or you find one that you trust,
Right.
to listen to you and work with you instead of just discounting how you feel.
That is perfect.
And they are out there.
They are.
They're out there. You just have to find them.
And I said that to someone just the other day. Someone said, I'm not sure if I'm going to, like such and such provider. You may not. But you know what? You will find that person who you connect with and who you really trust for the care of your family. Mm-hmm. And that's with so many things in life, whether it's a medical provider or whether it's a school even. You may say that this school, you really love the way that this school works with your child versus this school. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's got to be something that as a parent, you're really connecting to and feeling like you can kind of give over your son or daughter's kind of like little parts of their life to somebody that you trust that's going to help shape them the way that you know.
I tell clients to interview. I mean, why wouldn't you? The doctors, schools,
absolutely,
dentists.
Yeah.
This is a job for them.
And I said that too. I was just telling somebody, you have to interview because there are so many people out there. You've got to connect with your person and your group of people, your little tribe. You've got to connect with them. So you interview every little thing. And it may seem silly. I did like 3 or 4 interviews for preschool for my daughter, which seems so silly. Yeah. But, it's not, because you want to feel like who you're entrusting your child to has the same values and beliefs and goals and good juju, whatever it is, you want that to mesh with yours. Mm-hmm. And so interviewing is by far the best thing that you could do so that you feel a connection.
And you'll know right away. I mean,
absolutely.
When I was pregnant, I was interviewing pediatricians, and I would just sit down and, you can find online, ask them these questions. Right. I had my own questions, and I knew instantly who I felt comfortable with. Yes. And I had no problem firing the other guys, even though those other guys were the ones everyone said is the best. Yeah. We love so-and-so. You have to go here. You have to go there. So I interviewed them all. Right. But I also found a couple others. Yeah. And I chose who I felt comfortable with, for me and my daughter.
Exactly. And that is something that I love because, like you just said, you can sit down with somebody, you will know instantly if you have that connection or not. It's not going to be like, oh, gee,
you can't tell by reading Google reviews.
Yeah. It's got to be a face-to-face you need to interview. And so I love that suggestion, and I completely 100% support that too, as you go out and you interview so that you feel like you've made this connection, because that's what it's all about. You've got to you're entrusting the care of your most precious person in your life besides your spouse to somebody. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that they're on the same page as you. And you also want to trust your gut, because that is something that will not steer you wrong at all.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Awesome advice again.
Thanks.
We're going to have you on again soon. If you have questions for Cindy, you can email her. What's your email?
Cindy@cindysuds.com, or check out our website, cindysuds.com.
Awesome. And you can check out Gold Coast at our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. Email us, info@goldcoastdoulas.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review, and we will talk to you soon.